Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today let's go over a medium level question that I just solved on my own. So I'm super happy about this and I'm extremely glad that I was able to come up with my own solution to this question without any assistance. So let's go over it and let me show you how I did it. So this is question 1946, largest number after mutating a substring. So you're given this string num and this array change. Basically, every index maps to this value. So index 0 maps to 9, 1 maps to 8, and you want to mutate one substring to make this as big as possible. And you can only mutate one substring. So what do we know about that? Well, if we mutate this, that's better than this because the leftmost digit is always going to be having a larger effect than the digit to the right of that, right? That's always going to be the case. So what does that mean? Well, it means we want to mutate the leftmost substring that we can find, right? That is strictly bigger. So basically, let's say you take this value and 0, 1, 2, 3. If this was bigger than this, then you would go ahead and mutate that substring and that's it, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and implement it. So let's first map all the indexes to the values in a dictionary. So for I and range length change. So d of I, the index is equal to the value, which is change of I. And let's also go ahead, since we're going to mutate this, let's go ahead and make this a array because you can't mutate a string in Python. So let's just go ahead and append n so we can actually modify it in the future. Okay, so now let's go over our list that we made. And again, at any point, so we're looking at the current value and then we're looking at the integer's index. So turn this back into an integer 1 and then look at the index's value, which is 8. So let's call this value is going to be d of so we're going to want an integer, so let's call this num, or let's call this digit, whatever you want to call it, an integer list of I. So if the current value is bigger than integer of list of I, because this is still going to be a string, then we can actually go ahead and modify that. That means that we're trying to modify it because it's the leftmost element that has an advantage. Even if you change this by 1, it's going to be bigger than changing this by 9 or whatever, right? So in that case, let's go ahead and loop. And basically, we're going to go from I because we're going to modify that substring, and then we're going to break at the end because that's going to be it. And then again, as long as if so the current value, if we're trying to modify, let's say this particular substring, let's say we're trying to modify this, for example, then we're just going to compare each element. And as long as this is going to be true inside of this loop, then we're going to keep going. Otherwise, we won't. So let's call this, so as long as if d of the digit is going to be int of list of j now is bigger than int of list of j, then we can go ahead and excuse me, set inside of list of j, we can go ahead and set that to the actual value itself, which is just going to be the actual change. So d of int list of j. Otherwise, we're going to break because substrings have to be contiguous. This is not a substring, right? So if there's any one breakage that doesn't satisfy this condition, then we're going to break, right? And at the end, let's go ahead and print list. Okay, so if value so d of digits. Okay, so yep, so the value itself list integers must be slices. Oh, typo there. Okay, and you can see now that that matches up with all the test cases, so we're good to go. Except for this is a bit weird. Why is that happening? So we know that this is a substring we want to modify, right? So we're going to go ahead and modify it. As long as this is bigger than or equal to, we're going to do it. Otherwise, we break, right? There we go. Because in this substring, we know we have the right substring that we want to modify. As long as it's not less than, as long as it's not going to make it smaller, then we're going to keep modifying it, right? Okay, cool. Now we can go ahead and just turn all these back into strings and then return the result. So for L in list, then we're going to add string of L, and then at the end we can just return result. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. Okay, submit it. And there you go. Passes all test cases. So again, I'm super happy that I was able to come up with my own solution to this question without any assistance and solve it completely on my own. So that's it for this video, and thank you for watching.